down further street. There's a blue Chevy pickup truck and a white camper walking in the alley completely.
Hello.
Hello. I apparently don't have a camera today.
I see my camera's working, and I see two other people there, Barry and the presenter.
That would be me, but Zoom says I don't have a camera. And
Well,
of course that's not right because my camera's built into the computer. So I don't know what's going on there. Or what to do about it.
okay. Well, so you're a ghostly voice at this point.
I am a ghostly voice at this point. It also I updated it this afternoon, and it doesn't look like it's got any of my virtual backgrounds or anything like that left. So the update is kind of weird, I guess. So I may have to go back to the previous version.
I specifically did not update it this week. And
yeah, you're not even getting my virtual background.
I'm not getting
yeah
anything but a black screen on presenter. And I assume Barry is in his usual
Blackened.
Well, this is a problem because webcam test can't find my webcam either. So this is an issue.
I guess. Maybe have to roll backwards. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe the last kernel update screwed with something because I updated the machine too, but I don't think it did a kernel update.
I did mine. I'm on Linux Mint now, and I updated mine this week, sometime or earlier this week, and it did a kernel update. I think it's now 6.5 or something like that.
Yeah.
Let me just check. Okay.
6.5.0-35. Seems to be the one I'm on.
Oh, wait a minute. This is strange. For some reason or another, it's now showing 5.15.0-107. Well, I don't know what to tell you.
I don't either. I don't have any idea.
Hey, Barry, you got any ideas?
Yeah, you guys are crazy.
Yes, we are.
Well, but how's that different from any other week?
I actually had some stuff, but my camera's not working. Make sure your camera is on. My camera. Okay, I guess I will screw around with it after the meeting and see if I can figure out what's going on. But
Okay.
I guess we'll just have to live with no video right now.
Okay. Well, I can tell when my camera's on because there's a little blue light on the front of it.
Yeah,
and
there's no light on mine. It's completely. You know, honestly, let's see. LSUSB. I am almost positive. You know what? I wonder if my new keyboard is screwing with my camera.
Okay.
I don't know why it would, but
You have a new keyboard?
I did. I got a new keyboard. And that was one of the things I was going to share or hold up, because now all you can do is see a nice static picture of it. Maybe.
Okay.
Maybe you'll get a nice static picture.
Yeah. I've got a nice static picture of it here. Bright
Oh.
orange in the center.
It is really the only thing that's changed since last week. I mean, my camera worked last week. So.
Except you did update Zoom, right?
I did update Zoom. So those are the two things that have changed. But if webcamtest.com can't find the webcam and the light didn't come on, I don't think it's a Zoom problem. I think it's a kernel problem or a USB problem.
Okay. Well, a USB problem at this point would be a kernel problem, I think.
So yes, I am now officially one of the crazy keyboard people, only I'm not as crazy as some other crazy keyboard people. Oh. So I bought the Inland brand mechanical keyboard.
Okay.
And
wired or wireless?
It's wired.
Okay.
It's overall, it's not a horrible keyboard. It's not great.
Is that the price on it?
It was actually $29. It's on sale for $29. So yes,
at Micro Center.
Micro Center. It's got a nice feel to it. It's a good entry level keyboard, but I mean, when you listen to Steve talk about, you know, all the things he can do with his keyboard and all the macros and all the being able to change any key to do anything, this keyboard won't do that. This keyboard is pretty much a keyboard, and that's what it is.
So it's not programmable at all?
So the top row, the F keys, you can define a macro for those, but if I read the instructions right, once you define the macro, whatever the original intent of those keys will be overwritten. So you won't be able to use them. So like, you know how F1 is usually help and F5 or F11 will make the screen big or whatever, bring up a full page. If I'm reading what the little book says, once you redefine like F1, it will no longer be help. It will be the macro. And if I'm reading what it's saying correct, there's no way to change it back to being help again.
So there's some kind of flash memory in there that
Yes.
wow. Okay.
Well, there's a whole microcontroller in there. There's
Well, I'm sure there is, yeah.
actually it's 8051 according to LSUSB and the company that identifies as being the controller. There it's an 8051, but like I said, if I believe what the book says or the little piece of paper says, it won't once you change the keys, you can't change them back, which seems like an
So
odd.
You can't do a factory reset on them, basically.
Well, see, that's just it. There is a factory reset procedure, but it doesn't mention anything about resetting the macros. It only resets the LEDs apparently. So I don't know. It's obviously a $30 mechanical keyboard is a $30 mechanical keyboard. It's obviously made cheaply or as cheaply as they possibly can make it. It's not a horrible keyboard. I mean, it's actually really nice and easy to type on. It's the LEDs are pretty bright. They aren't like the box says they're RGB, but they're really not. It's not true RGB. They're segmented in color bands. Like all the greens are on one side and all the purples are on one side. So it's not a true RGB keyboard where you can't change the colors. You can change the animation patterns and the other thing, but the brightness and the speed of the animations and that stuff, but you can't change the colors. So calling it RGB, I'm doing the finger quotes and you can't see me, but calling it RGB is a little on the misleading side, I guess. I mean, technically it's got red and green and blue, but when I hear RGB, I think all that stuff is changeable, individual LEDs, and that's not really the case here.
Okay.
So yeah. One of the LEDs under the R key it's there, but it's very dim. And I can't really tell you.
Wow, it is, yeah.
I can't tell you why that is. I've pulled that keycap off and I've looked at it and I go, okay, why is this so dim? But yeah, like I said, it's a $30 keyboard. So it's not like it's an expensive keyboard. I guess you give up a little bit for something.
I'll say are painted orange.
It is not painted orange. You can actually see it come on and off, and it's just really dim. It's almost like that LED is dying or in upside down or backwards or something.
Now, are the LEDs repairable or replaceable?
Not really. Not without a whole lot of surgery. And it's a $30 keyboard. I'm not going to go into surgery. I'm not going to do it. It's also not it doesn't have hot swappable keys. So you get the brown tactile keys and or switches, and that's what you get. If you want to change them, you've got to unsolder each and every one of them.
Okay, that's not very
Yeah,
user friendly.
nope. That's not going to happen. It's a $30 keyboard. If one of the keys goes bad, it's going in the trash and another one's coming. I might pull the keycaps off to save the keycaps, but I might even, like, consider donating it to somebody who's really into keyboards. But I'm not going to do
Not
the
to mention any names, of course.
Yeah, I'm not going to do any surgery on it. So my basic overall impression, I got this last night. It's okay, but I wish I would have spent an extra $20 and got one that was a little better.
Okay.
I mean, this one, you know how Steve talks about using software and making all this stuff and doing all this. This one doesn't support any of that. And after I got it and I read a little bit about this 8051 that they're using and the firmware that's on it, I understood why they don't want to support it, because apparently the company that actually makes the controller is a very low cost controller company, and they make controllers for pennies, and they don't give anybody any kind of spec sheet or anything. They just say, here's the controller, and the OEMs have to figure out how to hook it all up. And it's amazing that anybody has actually figured out and gotten keyboards to actually work. So at least from what I have found out about this company that makes the chip, it is not good. And the one, there's a project called Open RGB, and they have even said that they remove support for this kind of keyboard because all the keyboards identify as just one keyboard. So, you could have a red dwarf keyboard and it would identify as this company's keyboard, and it could be wired up completely different than the way you would expect it to be wired up, because they figured out, because nobody told them how to wire it up. So
Well, so how would the keyboard kill your video?
I have no idea. I mean, the only way I guess I could find out is reboot, but I don't think I want to do that. So
Well,
unplug the keyboard
if you
and reboot
rebooted and rolled back to the previous
kernel.
Yeah, you'd be where you were last week. Hi there, Steve.
Hello.
Hello. I've been talking about my keyboard and the fact that I have no video. My webcam has just decided not to work.
It's taking a day off, so to
It's
speak.
taking a day off.
I feel for it.
There's only two things that have changed. I updated Zoom this afternoon, and I bought a new keyboard. And those are the only two things that have changed this past week. So I don't know what happened with the video.
Well, I can't imagine that the keyboard would do something like that. So that kind of leaves Zoom.
Yeah, and and or the kernel. Because if I go to here, this will be the best way to do this. I will share my screen since sharing seems to work. If I go to webcam tests says we could not find a web camera.
No, weird. I've never even heard of that site.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent site. They tell you all kinds of stuff over here about your camera once they find it. Not found. So, and my little the little LED light that's on the camera that usually comes on isn't coming on. So I don't know if this keyboard is screwing with it or not.
Well, I thought you said that you could see the keyboard on LSUSB.
Yes, but I don't see the camera on LSUSB.
Oh, you don't? Okay.
I don't see the camera, but the keyboard is there. That's my mouse. Oops. Foxconn is my mouse. That's my KVM. That is. Oh no, Foxconn is the wireless, the network driver. The Logitech unified receiver is the mouse. This is the crappy gaming keyboard company that bricks keyboards if you try to update.
And cameras.
And cameras. I don't know what Alcor. It's a hub.
That could be inside of your computer.
That's probably inside the computer, but there used to be one that said something about the webcam, so I don't know.
Yeah,
I
there
will-
should be.
I don't know if the keyboard is pulling too much power. Doesn't really make sense. Anyway. I don't have video right now, and other than shutting the meeting down and whatever. Okay, Mr. Barry, what are you asking?
He's asking about an oscilloscope.
I have one.
Just curious what a good one was. If
You wanna-
anybody had any suggestions.
Do you want to borrow one or are you looking to buy?
Well, I don't have any, so I've been wanting one for a long time, but then some of these have gotten really cheap, so I didn't know if they're any good or if they're junk. I mean, that one's like $9 on AliExpress, so
How can
That's
you go wrong with a $9 oscilloscope?
that's the probe set for $10. The oscilloscope, yeah, the oscilloscope itself is $30.
I would say on eBay it's 25, so
Yeah.
I figured AliExpress $9 was the actual scope too, so
No, that's the probe set, which you may or may not want. The 30 here. God. The
but
30
I figured there's probably
$30
something else better out there too. I don't know.
the $30 set comes with the probe set, an attenuator, and a couple other things. I've got an oscilloscope that's kind of like this. It's a slightly older model. I think it's the 150, not the 152. They're not as accurate as you would hope they were, but they're good enough for doing most troubleshooting.
Is it?
So
So I was supposed to say, I mean, they're like buying a Harbor Freight voltmeter.
kinda, yeah. I mean, they work and they actually do a pretty good job. They're just not quite as sensitive as they could be. So you're not going to get like, 7.957 volts. You'll get 7.99 or something like that, which may or may not be a big deal, depending upon what you're doing.
Yeah. Well, I
Um,
don't know. I haven't messed one for a long, long time. I had to do something to try to figure out what's wrong with this stupid truck computer, but
yeah. Yeah, I mean, $30 is it's probably going to be like that, like my keyboard experience. It's $30 that you wish you would have spent the $60.
well, I pulled out I couldn't find my oscilloscope the other day, and I had like 3 or 4 of these stupid Harbor Freight ones laying around. And I went out there and tested some batteries off the Prius because the guy was interested in buying some of them, and they were all like the voltages were weird, reading kind of weird. And I was like, oh, that's kind of low, but I was like, whatever. Because it like with the probes not attached, it was reading like -20, or 0.2 or 0.3, something like that. And, which I thought was kind of crazy that was that off with nothing connected to it. So of course that reflected in what the voltages were on the actual battery. And then I finally found my like Craftsman, and it was like that much to the positive side.
Right,
I was like, well, that's not shocking.
right. Yeah, I don't. I would recommend one of those O-scopes if you already have an O-scope.
Yeah.
If you already have a good O-scope, it's like you said, it's kind of like the Harbor Freight multimeter. They work, they're just not as accurate as you want them to be.
Gotcha.
So, if you're doing something quick and you need to know that there's 15 volts there, you could go, yep, there it is. If you don't care if it's 14.5 or if it's 15.7, yep, there's voltage. We're good.
Well, I just
But
this
as
I just
as an O scope, I don't think as a real O scope, I don't think you want one. I think you want to spend money and get a decent O scope.
yeah. Well, and that was the thing. I was like, I know they make a lot of smaller models and stuff than some of the older stuff, but I didn't know if the stuff's any better than the older stuff. But I don't have a lot of room for this kind of stuff anyway.
Yeah.
But be nice to have like since I'm gutting this entire room anyway at this rate. I'm gonna try to look around, find something. If you guys had any suggestions on what was a decent one, looking at like one of these like Ryo Jules or I guess or something.
So I have a Rigel that's gotten the unofficial upgrade to make it double speed. You're welcome to borrow it. It has software to do serial debugging and CAN bus debugging and USB debugging. It's pretty impressive. It's a 4 input with a decent sized screen. I printed out the whole manual for it. Welcome to it.
Well, cool. I
Yeah,
might take you up on that.
I was going to say the same. I've got a decent O scope. I don't remember. I think it's a 20 megahertz scope that I found at Micro Center for $99. They were closing them out, and was I think a $300 scope. So it's a decent scope. I'm pretty sure it's got the USB flash, so you can store its readings on the flash drive and all that fun stuff. Very similar to the Rigels, but it's not a Rigel. It's something else. So If you look around, you can find them. But you're going to probably find them for around 140, 160. So
Coolios.
Trying to look mine up. I haven't used the thing for a while.
Yeah.
I'll be right back. I gotta find out what that thing is.
yeah. Yeah, mine's sitting over on my desk. I can't show it to you because I don't have a webcam.
Slacker.
Yeah, that's me. But
Here's
mine do what?
a Checktronics gigahertz one for 61.
That sounds really cheap for a Tectonics. Mine looks
Mm.
something like that.
Also very used and very old looking.
Mine looks something like that.
Yeah.
But
Well, the was it Hamfest that this weekend or next weekend?
it
They
was
usually
last
have
it was last weekend.
was
You
it
missed
last
it.
weekend?
Yeah.
I say they usually have all these little small ones, but I didn't realize I was already missed it.
Yep, you missed it. And I didn't go this year, so $160 from AliExpress. 100 megahertz and 1 gigahertz sampling. I guess it depends on what you really
Wanting
need
to
to
do.
do. Yeah.
I don't. That's the other thing. I don't really know what all I need to do. I don't think I really remember every. I mean, we used them at. I worked at one place for harmonic frequency crap.
Yeah.
Quality control, materials.
Well, I mean, I have that oscilloscope that I bought. That was 3 years ago, maybe. It was well before the pandemic, so it's been longer than that. I don't think I've ever taken it out of the box. I may have taken it out of the box to look at it, but it went right back in the box. I don't think I've ever used it. So when you need it, you need it.
Yeah.
But I wasn't going to pass it up for $100 because that was a heck of a deal for that scope. If that makes sense. Even though I don't need it.
Yeah. Well, that's why I seem to be collecting tools.
Yeah.
Like things I might need, like you expect it, because things might not get, seems better than letting it rot in the bank.
Yeah. I think I have a USB oscilloscope somewhere. I'm not sure if I still have that or not.
I said there used one of the things with like one of the little Pico Pi things, but I would say I don't know. I was just curious what you guys thought on oscilloscopes and.
Well, you should ask Ray what he thinks about oscilloscopes.
I just might have to do that, but Ray's slacking.
Ray probably has
30.
100. Well, I was going to say 100, but yeah, he's got every bit of 30 oscilloscopes, all different.
I just need to raid Ray's shop.
Yeah, I mean, Ray's shop is a great place to go if you need quick parts or want to borrow some tools or something. Of course, he keeps track of that stuff too, so you got to give it back to him.
Oh, do we?
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
part of the new Maker Hive.
Yeah,
East Claremont branch.
that is very similar to the one the one I've got. But it's not
So
mine's
DS 1054 that has been upgraded to a DS 1058, I think. No, it's twice as fast as it was originally built for.
I'm positive mine's not a Rigel. Hang on. I'll be back.
Heard that before.
It's not up there. I would have to dig. I'd have to dig through stuff. It's not on my workbench. I would have to dig through stuff to find it. I'm sure it's still in a box somewhere. I don't know who made mine. I'm pretty sure that I'm pretty sure that the one I've got is only a 2-channel, not a 4-channel. But like I said, depending upon what you want to do. I think we had decided 3 years ago or 4 years ago or 5 years ago when I bought the stupid thing that it could be upgraded to do things that it wasn't supposed to do. I don't know. Years ago, Barry, you could have taken my old analog oscope. The thing weighed 50 pounds and
Yeah.
it's a good scope.
Did you find it a new home or is it under your desk?
It ended up going to the Goodwill.
Oh, so I just need to go spend $1 and go pick it up from Goodwill.
Well, that was a while ago, but sure, you might still find it there. Somebody might still have it.
If I had seen it, I would have gotten it.
Yeah.
Well, they probably wanted $1,000 for it at Goodwill, so
I found that it was an old Tektronix analog scope. I found it in a barn, and the guy who owned the barn had no idea what it was. And I said, "What do you
It's a
want for it?"
milking machine.
Yeah, he really had no idea what it was. He said, "What do you want for it?" "Oh, I don't know. That thing's been sitting there for 20 years. Just take it. Just get it out of here." "Oh, okay." I cleaned it up and it worked fine. I mean, it was a great scope, but big and
you
heavy.
didn't put it in my car.
That's true. I did actually offer it to people before I took it to Goodwill. So probably at the time you had no idea that you needed a scope.
I wanted one for a long time. I just never wanted to pull the trigger because they used to be stupidly expensive.
Yeah.
The new digital ones being so much cheaper, a lot of the older ones have come down quite a bit. But they're still not free usually, so
Yeah. I mean,
I worked
Wow.
for a company down here in Newtown. And this was many years ago. And we were making very bright ultraviolet lights, like 60,000 watt lights and stuff. And whenever they'd kick on, they'd get a surge down the line that controlled them. And about one time in 300 or 400, it would pop the computer that ran everything. And it was a special computer that they had bought somewhere out of nowhere. And when I started there, I opened one up and it was a weird mix. It had Intel chips, Motorola chips, and Zilog chips in it. it had a Z80 processor, Motorola interface chips, and Intel port controllers, I think. Never did figure out why they did that mix, but I found out they were paying about $500 each when they'd send those things out, and it had like $32 worth of chips in it. I told them if they'd get me an oscilloscope, I'd fix the little computers for them. And it really didn't take much. I mean, there were like 6 tests I'd do to figure out which chip was down, turn it off, pop the chip out, put in another one, power it back up, and then check to see if there was something down the line that was bad. There usually wasn't. It was usually a single failure. But they went from a turnaround of about a month and a half and a couple of $100 minimum to about $20 each and a 3 or 4 day turnaround. And the ones I rebuilt were just as good in the field. And I mean, it wasn't like they were swapping out all the parts, because we'd mark them and to see what they had replaced. And when I left there, they let me keep the scope because there was nobody else there that could figure out how to use it. It was a little 10 to 20 megahertz scope. It was a nice machine. While I was there, I was in field service and got them to buy one of the first Tektronix battery powered oscilloscopes. It was 8.5 by 11, 2.5 inches thick, had about a 6-inch LCD screen on it, dual input, all isolated. That thing set them back $1,200.
And now you can get a scope that looks like this for
Yeah.
$89.
Nice.
A pocket oscilloscope for $89. Thing looks like a multimeter.
With a waveform generator. Yeah. But 12 megahertz, pretty slow. I'm kind of surprised.
That seems slow. It's probably using one of those DSO things and
Yeah.
just a different package. I can't imagine that being entirely accurate.
And heard to be real accurate with a teeny tiny display.
Yeah. If you needed a quick check the waveform, make sure the waveform was right, it probably would be all right.
99.5% of everything I do, I can check with an LED. Is it blinking? Yep.
Yeah, yeah, I could use a multimeter to do most of what I need done. I don't really need a oscilloscope.
It ain't ground, it ain't VCC. Somewhere around 3 volts. It's probably a waveform.
Yeah. If you could watch it go do the sine wave thing on the thing, it's putting out some audio somewhere or doing something strange. I don't know. It's nice to have that as a thing to use, but like I said, I bought that thing at least, it was before the pandemic, so it's been a while. It hasn't been out, it's been out of the box once. I don't think I've ever actually used it. And right now I couldn't tell you where it's at. I thought it was on my workbench, but it's not.
I thought this one was on my workbench. It was on a rolling cart. It's like, oops.
Well, I was like, there's a power supply on my workbench, which probably hasn't seen use for 2 or 3 years as well.
Oh, that's sad.
It is. So when we lived in Middletown, my area was set up very, very different. My workbench was directly next to my computer. And I did all kinds of stuff. Since I've moved here, my computer is pretty far from my workbench. And I don't use my workbench as much anymore because I mean I'm programming the Arduino or the ESP32s and doing all that stuff, but I'm not putting a lot of stuff together anymore. Mainly because my workbench is further away from me. And it's carry the thing over here, program it, carry it back over there to do work. So I just do, if I need to adjust something or, use a screwdriver or whatever, I put something together, I'll just do it right here because I'm right next to my computer that needs to be programmed. So I probably could actually get rid of my workbench and free up a whole lot of room in this room.
Hmm.
So I found a Keychron keyboard that is $40 and says that it's hot swappable and it's $46. It's hot swappable and it's got the brown tactile switches in it. But I cannot find this keyboard on the Keychron website.
A C3?
Yeah. If I type in their search, it will pull up like documents and stuff for the C3, but if I try to go to buy it, they've got the C1s and C2s, but they don't have the C3. I'm thinking that might actually be a better keyboard than what I bought. And Patty has already said that I'm allowed to buy this other keyboard, but she wants the one that I bought for her. So
No, don't do that to her.
I told her, I said, "Are you sure you don't want me to just take it back and get the money?" No, I like the pretty lights. That's all she cares about. Pretty lights. But I'm thinking that it's got basically the same size. But what I was a little confused about was the $36 model doesn't say that it's hot swappable. So I'm assuming it's not.
So here's Keychron's URL for it.
Did you find it?
Yep.
That says C1.
I thought that's what you were looking at.
No, it's a C3.
Oh.
No, I can find like
Oh, yeah.
I can find
C1,
like
C2, and S1.
I can find like the documentation for it. They've got all the I'm a little they don't list, even though on Amazon and it looks like on the documentation side and whatever, it says CMK and VIA, but
Yeah,
on the VIA website, it doesn't list it as being a supported keyboard. So I'm a little confused by that.
you may have to download the JSON file.
They don't have it.
Mm,
They've got some for some of the other models, but not for the C3. I'm a little confused by the whole thing. I don't know if I'm just going to be spending money again on something that
If you buy it from Keychron's website, you can return it.
I think I
Um,
could return it from Amazon too,
Yeah,
but
As long as you do it within 30 days.
yeah.
That isn't one of the things that has a restocking charge, isn't it?
I don't know.
Because Amazon started doing some restocking charges on some items.
30-day easy returns. I don't know. I'm very confused by the whole thing. Is the C3 older? Is it an older keyboard? Is it a newer keyboard? I'm very confused by the whole. Why isn't it on their website? I'm very confused.
So is it on the Amazon website?
That's where I found it, was on Amazon. Well, I actually found this on eBay last week, and the price for a used one from eBay is the same price for a new one from Amazon. So guess which one I'm probably going to buy if I decide to pull the trigger. I will spend the extra $1 and buy it from Amazon instead of eBay for a used one.
interesting to me that they've got the C1 also, and it's $60.
Yeah, I'm very confused.
Maybe they're not numbered in chronological order.
I'm equally confused as why they have one. I understand that the $36 one, the $37 version of this keyboard only has backlighting. It doesn't have the RGB, but it doesn't look like it's hot swap. It looks like it's pretty much the same kind of keyboard that I've already bought.
Yeah,
Where if I want hot swap, the ability to hot swap, I'm going to spend $47 and have hot swap and RGB, which I don't really care so much about the RGB. The hot swap would be nice.
You mean like hot swap keys?
Yeah, the switches.
Gotcha.
I'm learning all this. Steve is the go-to,
bad influence.
the bad influence. But I am very
Do that when
confused.
Patty's around and throw me under the bus.
Yep. I am very confused by this C3. I am very, very confused. I thought I was getting a small handle on things, and nope. But the Amazon listing for the C3 seems way more complete, at least more information than the eBay listings as well. So
Mhm. It may be that they've stopped production of it.
oh, and this is like overstock or something.
Could be. which seems odd to me. I mean, that's a decent looking keyboard. I
Mhm.
personally, I like that they've got the USB kind of in the middle and let you route it out different paths. I hate when the USB is sticking up from the top. That's why I started buying 90-degree USB-C plugs.
Right. Well, I mean, um, you look at that keyboard, that's the one I bought versus that, and they're a very similar design. It's
Mm-hmm. And that's TKO. That's
yeah,
just
it's a very similar layout. North facing LEDs, but these are actually RGB, not zoned colors.
right.
Um,
Yeah, and when you start playing with it, there's like 25 different ways you can make the LEDs do things, and you can control the speed that they do, what they do, and
yes,
base colors.
yes. Well, this is not this Inland is not a bad keyboard per se, but it's not great either. It's a good entry level that I knew almost immediately I wanted something else though.
Yeah.
I mean, I basically plugged it in. I started typing on it and going, okay, I like it, but this is not at all what I thought I was getting. So, you know,
So at this point, I have 4 reasonably good mechanical keyboards, and I only really use 2 of them. If you want to borrow my code, you're welcome to it.
well, I mean, we've got another week of virtual, and then I was going to take this keyboard back next in-person meeting, and but Patty says she wants it, so let's see how that goes. Yeah.
So she likes the pretty colors, huh?
She wants the colors. She doesn't care about anything else. I bought she needed a mouse for her computer, and her only requirement for the mouse was I want it to light up pretty. Okay. So I found the cheapest inland mouse I could find that had RGB colors. And she was perfectly happy. She just breezes along. That's pretty much the same with this keyboard. She sees some of the animation that it can do and some of the colors that it produces, and it's pretty. She hasn't said and typed on it yet. She hasn't done any of that. So,
Well, women are very sensitive to color, at least in my experience, my
Mhm.
humble experience is they're very, you know, we go someplace and my wife will ask me later on, what'd you think of the color of the wallpaper or something like that? I thought they had wallpaper.
there was wallpaper.
There were walls.
Yeah, exactly. I am totally insensitive to color.
Well,
So men have more rods in their eyes that are monochrome. Why men are more likely to be colorblind. We see motion much better than women do. Women
Yeah.
see colors much better than men do. They have a lot
Well,
more.
you got to be
color.
able to see those saber-toothed tigers coming in from the side.
Yep.
Well, that actually explains a lot. But Patty's colorblind. She's
Really?
Really, that's
Well,
strange.
she will look at a color and swear that it's blue or red or something, and I'm going, that's brown. What? I don't know what you're seeing, but that is not the color you think it is.
No, we only know that one of you is colorblind.
That's true.
Yeah, we haven't. Yes.
Except that the kids have also looked at her and said, "That's not what color that is." So, and this isn't like it might be a shade off. This is like full wrong color. You've got
My mom worked for Wilson Paints for years, and she could explain the difference between coral and salmon. They're pink. It's like light red. That's all you're getting.
Yeah.
What's the difference between this color and this color? Sky blue and azure. They're both blue.
Well, if you're going to work in a paint store, it's pretty much you got to be pretty sensitive to shades and so forth and so on.
Yeah. Well, the kids, I don't remember where we were, but Patty swore something was green. Absolutely swore it was green. And me and the two kids, we're sitting there going, there's nothing here that's green. What do you want me to get? What do
What are
you
you
want?
looking at?
What do you want us to do? There's nothing here that's green. And she goes, that right there. And it had to be one of the darkest shades of blue I had ever seen. I mean, it was clearly blue. And the kids even went, Mom, that's blue. So she is colorblind.
Hmm.
She found out that, like,
Likely,
do what?
likely excuse.
Yeah. She found out that like Steve said, women are less likely to be colorblind, but it's not impossible for them to. And she goes, "See,
The-
I'm not colorblind because women can't be colorblind." I'm like, well, it is very unlikely that you will be colorblind, but women can still
You might be the exception.
women can still be colorblind. So I swear I don't know how the woman sees at all. I am honestly surprised. We went and got new glasses 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago. Her eyes had changed about 20 points.
Ooh.
And yeah. And I have no idea why the doctor didn't just look at her and say, "Okay, you can see, but you're blind. You're legally blind." Because I have no idea how the woman sees at all. My eyes changed about 2 points, which he said was perfectly normal. And I was like, cool.
Do you have retinal scans at the same time you do a
She did because her eyes her eyes are bad to start with. I mean, she always had really thick glasses. So we went through and let her get the scan and all that stuff. But everything came back normal. It's just her eyes have changed that much. It's bad. So.
Well, I'm diabetic, and they're all with diabetics, they're always concerned about retinal damage.
Yeah.
And so I get a retinal scan every time. And
But she was, that's what she was worried about. She's worried about being a diabetic, and she may be or maybe not, but that's why she got the scan. And you know, it cost a little extra to do that, but it was all right. My glasses, I picked glasses that looked very similar to my old glasses, and they were on the clearance shelf. So my glasses cost, I think, $20 plus the eye exam. I walked out of there spending like $50, and she picked the normal pair of glasses and got the scan and all that, and I think walked out of there spending $130. So it wasn't bad. That wasn't a horrible. I said it kind of made up, her getting the retinal scan kind of made up for me getting the cheap glasses. We're going to spend that much money anyway. So we went to American Best, which is where we had went last time we got glasses, because you could get 2 pairs and the eye exam for $80, which seems like a good deal.
That's cheap.
Yeah. Seemed like a good deal when you don't have eye insurance or anything. So, and the new one in Middletown, the doctor's really nice. He was really concerned because her eyes had changed so much. Really worried about her. So it's always nice when your doctor actually seems like he, even though he doesn't know you, seems like he cares.
Marla's eyes are getting worse. And when she realized that she probably couldn't get a driver's license when hers expired. So we went and got her license renewed right away for 8 years. So
the driver's license in Ohio are good for 8 years.
yep, you can pay for them up to 8 years.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's a new thing for the last during COVID or something.
Yeah. And it was hilarious. So I looked up where's the easiest to pass place for Ohio DMV. And it came back as the one up on Hamilton Avenue, just north of Cincinnati by I forget what district that police department is. But I'm like, okay, that works. Let's find out. So we go up there and she's in the eye machine. Is that a B? No, try again. A D? No.
Oh,
Maybe
no.
a B. That's it. Good to go. You pass. Jeez.
Okay. Hey, that's the kind of an examiner you want.
She hasn't driven since then. So,
That
man,
sounds like my aviation eye test.
That sounds like Patty's eye test when she was getting her new glasses.
Well, to be fair, I don't know if you guys have ever taken the aviation eye test, it's completely different. It's all symbols and shapes and stuff, but it's all real fine lines, so it's hard to see even if you wanted to see because they're colored. And they're like, C shape with the opening on the right or to the left or down or there was an X on it or it was really screwy. And I had a hard time making out the colors on it.
Are you a pilot, Barry?
I passed my stuff. I never finished my solo or sign off for minimum hours, but
Oh,
a long time ago.
should do that. that's fun. I'm not a pilot.
Yeah,
I just play one on TV.
yeah, it costs money
Yeah,
because you got to fly like every month. And I
yeah.
don't have a plane and gas is,
And that costs money.
yeah, renting, where it used
Renting.
to be like, it used to not be too hard to
Yep.
get planes cheaply, but anymore people
Somebody's
want,
knocking on my door. Hang.
$200 an hour.
Yes.
Right out of high school, I worked at what is now Butler County Regional Airport. It used to be,
Hookfield? No,
no,
no. Butler County Regional.
yeah,
That was that's in
Hogan.
Hamilton.
It was Hogan Airport, Hogan Airfield. And one day the one of the Hogan brothers told me to take a plane to North Dakota. I'm like, I can't do that. I don't have a license. Said, why not? You worked here 3 months. Go get your license here. And he takes me over and introduces me to the instructor and says, get this kid his license. So I had my license
Nice.
for a short while. But yeah, I never followed up on that.
I learned to fly a glider. And I was very, very close to actually getting my glider's license. But just like Barry, it finally got to the point where it was more expensive than what I had at the time.
Well, it was kind of annoying too, because like I knew somebody had a plane, so I wasn't going to have to rent one, and they had instructors and crap in Civil Air Patrol, so I could have gotten that for free. So the only thing I'd really been out is gas. But the guy got a DUI while I was at flight school in Civil Air Patrol. When I got back, he'd sold the plane. I was like, and then what's funny is about the time they dissolved my Civil Air Patrol unit, they gave like Lunkin an airplane, which I didn't know. So if I'd switched over to Lunkin, we'd have had a plane and had 2 instructors there. I could have probably finished through Civil Air Patrol, but they never, like I said, I had no idea because it wasn't my unit.
Right. My dad was a pilot for a long time, and it's where I got interested in it. He would fly Cessna 152s, 172s, and he took me out to Moraine one day, and there were gliders out there, and I was like, that's cool, I want to do that. And I did it, and the first flight, the guy gave me the control and told me what to do, and he said, now I'm going to sign you off that you had a lesson. And I was like, oh, cool. So I had to keep going back to get more lessons.
Yeah. How they hook you.
That's how
The
they
f-
hooked me.
The first one's free, and then they have to teach you how to land.
Oh, it wasn't free. We had to pay for that. but
Oh,
but it was they did not take me up in the glider for free. They were definitely, take passengers up, but I had expressed interest in learning to actually fly, and he was like, oh, okay, I'll teach you how to do this. I think I actually got to land it the first day that I flew. Now, he may have had his hands on the controls though, so
most likely.
but I got to learn how to find updrafts and downdrafts and all that fun stuff that when you're flying a plane that has a prop, you don't worry
Have
about
to
so
worry about.
much.
Yeah. I got a buddy that does gliding that was from my Civil Air Patrol, and I don't know, he lives like near Washington, D.C. or something now. but he posts pictures of the glider. He was going through training last summer, I guess, or I don't know when he finished or if he finished last summer, but he always has a picture of the different gliders he's in. It's like, I just can't picture a glider because I, you know, what do you do when you're not near the runway? You know?
You look for those updrafts. Stay up there as long as you can.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a
At least
whole thing to it.
a hot air balloon, you know, you can keep pulling the lever as long as you got gas.
Yeah. Got to learn how to pull them levers just right. Yeah. I always had fun though. With dad being a pilot, I never really wanted to learn how to fly the Cessna, but the glider was kind of fascinating. That kind of intrigued me. But I got to fly in helicopters and do all kinds of stuff just because dad was always at the airport. He was always there. So he knew
That's cool.
everybody. And, hey, my kid wants to go for a ride in that helicopter. Okay, come on. You want to fly this? The only one that I didn't like, he got me to ride in a old bi-wing, and I
You mean
hated
like a crop duster?
yeah, yeah, I hated the open cockpit. I kept freaking out that I was going to fall out of that thing. I mean, knowing what I know now, but when you're talking about a 10-year-old kid who had never been in one, and the guy's going up and flipping around and doing stuff, I'm falling out. But I
One
know better.
of the first 3 or 4 orientation flights I did, and something else was all in a Cessna. I mean, it's a high wing, and you can see the ground and everything all the time. And then did all my flight school in a Tomahawk, and where you can't see the ground at all. That was a different experience trying to land something when you're like got to look way out in front and look for the lamps to
Yeah.
line up on.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, I was old enough to drive a car, so I had to have been 16 or so, but I was pretty young. I remember doing it, and I remember going, this is getting more and more expensive every time. Every time I have to do this. And I got really close to finishing, and I went, I don't think I can afford this anymore. So I never really finished, but I was really close.
I got accepted for a flight school in Colorado, and I was like, tuition. I was like, cool, no problem. And then they were like, yeah, your quarterly fees are going to be $200,000 a quarter. I'm like, what?
Yeah. Good times. Good times. So
Does anybody have a want for a workbench like that? It's solid steel and weighs about 160 pounds. Differences are that this panel that it shows on the back is actually between these legs, but it may be able to be moved. It's got knockouts so you can put duplex outlets here in the corner posts.
Oh, nice.
But it doesn't have these edges on them. It does have one in the back.
Well, it's right up there until you said the edges weren't there. I mean, that's the only cool thing about it.
It's free to a good home if anybody wants it. I got to get it out of my garage.
Wish Vicente was here. He probably could use something like that. I don't have the room for it. I would take it.
I don't
I
have
don't-
the room for it either.
I don't have the room for it.
It's taking up the room that would otherwise have two toolboxes in it, and I'd be able to get the car in the garage.
Car in a
Have-
garage? What? Who the hell does that?
Have you talked to Ray?
Now,
Ray probably would take that.
Right, store it for you.
Ray probably would
Let
come
you have
and
a
get that.
workstation
Yeah.
area.
Yeah. That's a decent looking bench. He probably would take that pretty
It
quick.
could be part of our makerspace lab.
It could be if we ever
He wants us to
doing
come
that.
up there.
Yes. We
We could
need a
start building it.
makerspace. We need that makerspace. You know, he's got a bunch of 3D printers. He's got to start.
But he's offered me his, was it a CR10 Max?
what?
That creative. I didn't
Oh.
look it up too much.
Let's see reality.
Yeah. They're actually really expensive. He said he's gonna let me have it for $200 with a bin full of reels of plastic too.
Hmm.
I'm tempted because it'll do ABS. And I probably can't do ABS on mine for $200 without.
Yeah. I don't know. I know he's talked about starting a makerspace a couple of times.
Yeah,
He's got-
he brought it
he's-
up in that meeting a while back.
He's got the stuff to do it. He's just got to find somebody that
Well,
can sit there and do it with him.
since the library doesn't like let us meet all the time anymore, we could do like once a month up there. Something be kind of cool.
Yeah. Well, one of the things about that was
Him being in town.
well, generally no, I think Carol would let us meet there anyway, but one of the for the most part, you guys are pretty far from even Westchester. So driving an extra 20 minutes to Middletown.
Okay, just another 2 or 3 exits up, isn't it?
Uh
Yeah, it's more than that.
yeah, it's 5-ish.
And then all the way
Maybe.
across Middletown.
And then all the way across Middletown. It's actually probably easier to come to Franklin and get off at the first Franklin exit to get to his shop than it would be to go to Middletown.
Both of those areas have some interesting drivers sometimes.
Yes. But that I mean, that was one reason why we kind of always rejected having the meeting in Middletown, was because the vast majority of people are even far away from Westchester. Westchester seemed like a happy compromise because it's kind of in between.
Just says it's only an hour and 8 minutes.
Only an hour and 8 minutes. But
An hour and 8 minutes from where to where?
From Bethel.
And
the rabbit lasers on Hook Drive.
and how far away is Westchester? Guess it would be 60 minutes? No. 40 minutes?
I swear, there's too many damn Westchesters.
Midpoint Library, Westchester. This
Yeah, it says an hour.
doesn't. So it's saying that it's about the same distance.
That's 10 more miles, but
Hmm.
so it says takes 8 more minutes.
That must be
But
on a good. That must be on a good day.
That's not at 6 o'clock, 6:30 traffic.
Because I'm thinking it probably takes me 20-25 minutes to get to Westchester. So, and that's on a day that is kind of full. So
Well, I mean, it's not 5 o'clock.
that's true.
So
It's not 5 o'clock. Yeah, by the time I usually leave early from here so I could go to Walmart and some of the other stores so I could look for Batmobiles. Because my other collecting hobby of collecting Hot Wheel cars demands me to go and do that. It's a sickness. A sickness, I say. So, you been working on any projects, Mr. Art? Or doing anything?
Not really, just trying to get my wife in a little better physical condition than she is.
Mhm. Yeah.
She had an attack on her back. She had an attack of back pain yesterday. I thought we were going to head back for California, but fortunately, she recovered from it. She's on CBD therapy right now, and that seems to give her some relief.
Oh.
For those of you not familiar with marijuana, the CBD is the whatever non-high component of marijuana and hemp.
Yeah.
The one that gets you high is THC. So
Yeah. The CBD is the component that
yeah, psychoactive. Thank you, Steve.
that's the component that is supposed to be good, the good part.
Well, it's good as a matter of perspective, okay? But it is the one that's not used in recreational marijuana. It's the one that's primarily used for various nerve pain and so forth and so on. So, at any rate, and the state of Ohio is getting more and more I don't know if the word liberal is appropriate, but is getting a little easier to buy the stuff. So,
They're getting a little bit more friendly towards it. Yes.
yep, yep.
Yeah.
Well, it's interesting. Here, I'm over here by off exit 50 off of 275, and it's the one that's by the big Walmart store. So about a year ago, they started work on a dispensary. This was strictly a medical dispensary. I think to even get in the door, you need a medical marijuana card. Well, it turns out a couple of years ago, the Ruby Tuesday restaurant that was over there went out of business, been sitting empty for at least 2 years, maybe 3 years, I don't know. Actually, I think it's been sitting empty since early COVID. Talking to one of the neighbors here, they said, oh yeah, the Ruby Tuesdays is becoming a dispensary. So these two places, the new dispensary that they built from scratch, it's a small building, and the front door of the Ruby Tuesdays have got to be less than 50 yards apart. So for those of you who are not familiar with this part of Milford, it is where the Texas Roadhouse is. They're right off of 275. And so there's going to be two of them right side by side. I don't know. And the word is that now they're being released as recreational sites as well, meaning they can sell recreational stuff. So supposedly by sometime in June, they will be, selling both things there. In which case you can go in with nothing but a driver's license and you can buy whatever is legal in the state of Ohio.
There's quite a bit that's legal in Ohio now. There's one that opened up already on Mount Carmel, Tabasco Road.
I know where that, yeah.
Between 32 and 125. Actually, it's between 32 and Clough Pike.
Yeah. It's kind of parallels 275 there. It goes up on the west side of 275. But the official release of the recreational cannabis is supposedly the 12th of June or whatever. There's been a lot of politicking around. I guess that's I don't know if that's a verb or not, but over this this business of marijuana, and first the medical marijuana and then recreational marijuana and so forth and so on. So, and of course, it's a big political football because, first of all, there's gobs of money involved, which I think makes it, which is a necessary component for it to be a political football. And then, you've got the various political factions which are concerned with maintaining the morality of the human race and so forth and so on. So none of what I say, by the way, is politically correct. but I get a pass because I'm currently a resident of California, so I guess that gives me a pass on political correctness. Oh, excuse me. But I thought it was amusing that these two places were, one of them's open and functioning, and the Ruby Tuesdays is in the process of being refurbished. Let me put it that way. It's so I assume at some point they're going to get like banks and gas stations where they're going to be one on every corner.
Yeah.
Our township banned it, so
What'd you say, Barry?
that our township has banned them.
Has banned them?
Yeah, they're not allowed to be sold in our township.
Okay. Well,
That means that right along the border of your township, there's going to be a lot of places that sell.
yep.
Possibly.
When I was stationed at Fort Knox was in the middle of a dry county. Fort Knox itself wasn't because it was federal, but you couldn't buy a drink off post unless you went 4 miles away. And holy cow, it was easy to see the county lines. There were just rows of bars and liquor stores. It was hilarious.
Well, that's kind of the same way in like South Lebanon. That's a dry city, but you can go, just down the road a half mile or so, and yeah, they can only sell beer in that city and only during certain hours. After it gets dark, they can't sell it.
I thought you could get a drink at the Golden Lamb.
No, South Lebanon, not Lebanon.
Oh, okay.
South Lebanon is further down, further
South.
south. It's a little tiny town. There's, I don't know, a couple thousand people that live there, maybe.
Hmm.
And there's my ex-wife used to live out there, and she would always rush to get down to the gas station because they couldn't sell, and it was only beer. There was no alcohol. It was only beer that they were allowed to sell, and only a certain percentage of that.
Ooh, 3-2. Yuck.
Yeah, when I was in college, there were 3-2 bars because now this is a long time ago, but in those days, you could buy 3-2 beer if you were 18 years old. But if you wanted to buy anything higher test than that, so to speak, you had to be 21. Well, when you're in college, generally, you're 18 years old, 19-year-old, 20 years old, 21. So by the time you're 21, you've almost graduated. So at Ohio State University, they had all these up and down High Street. I don't know if you're familiar with Columbus or not, but they up and down High Street, they had all these 3-2 bars. And if you went in there and wanted a Boilermaker or beer in a sidecar, what you couldn't get it, but you could get a 3-2 beer. Now I don't know if Ohio even has 3-2 beer anymore. Do they?
I don't
Okay.
know. I don't know.
I have no idea, but I know Columbus, around Ohio State, they pretty much bulldozed that whole street, got rid of all the bars.
Well, they bulldozed that whole street because basically the Ohio State University has expanded their campus and taken over that whole string of High Street there. But when I was there, the campus was only on the west side of the High Street, and didn't go as far north and didn't go as far south.
I remember working at a pizza place, and I think we had 3-2 beer then, because I remember delivering beer. And I don't ever remember anybody asking to see ID. So
Yeah, well, long ago and far away.
yeah,
I mean, let me think. This is 2024, and I graduated in December of 1964, so I guess that was 60 years ago. If I've done the math right. So a number of things have changed since then. I remember some of those old bars were pretty. I mean, they'd been there since when my father was at Ohio State in the 1930s, and they were quaint. I guess they were neat. There were old brick buildings, and I remember there was one of them that you went downstairs. You went in the front door, and you could either go into the restaurant, which was on the ground level, or you could go down this stairway, and it was kind of like what speakeasies must have been like in the 20s, where you basically went down the stairs, you identified yourself, and they let you in, and it was actually a fun place. But all of that's gone now.
yeah.
I don't know, did the University of Cincinnati have a 3-2 bar area, or isn't anybody here old enough to remember?
I don't know anything about that area really.
I've been to a lot of bars, but I don't drink, so it was never anything I paid attention to.
Yeah.
Well, I don't drink anymore either, but in those days, having a beer or two was kind of SOP. And I think the beers were 25 cents a piece, as I recall.
Vicente just texted me. He says that he's missing the meeting again because he's getting his daughter from the airport.
Oh, she's probably coming home for the summer. Let's see, what is this? May something or May
It's-
23?
It's the 23rd, yeah.
Yeah, they're probably, Stanford's probably out at this point. They're generally out, both Stanford and Berkeley are generally out sometime in the last couple of weeks of May. I think if I recall correctly, my daughter graduated in like the 18th of May.
I told him to tell her welcome home from all of us.
True. Good.
So yeah. I've been seeing over here doing LSUSB and LSPCI and all this fun stuff. My webcam just doesn't exist anymore. It's just gone.
Well, what you've got to do is just roll back one version of Zoom, reboot.
I
And
don't think it's
No.
Zoom. I don't think it's Zoom that's causing the problem.
Yeah, I
think
don't either. Have you
I'm-
tried plugging it in a different port?
It's an integrated camera. It's
Ah,
so I've
so
got two options. I'm going to unplug the keyboard, which is really the only other thing that changed. If that doesn't work, then I'll have to roll the kernel back to the previous kernel and see if that fixes the problem. Because that's really the only two things I could think of.
do you have another keyboard laying back
Oh yeah,
laying
yeah,
around?
yeah. Oh yeah, I've got my old membrane keyboard. I'm good with keyboards. But
Okay, can't you just unplug one and plug the other in? They should
well,
hot plug.
maybe. I don't know. Do you think that would cause the USB to find the camera if I unplug this without rebooting?
good.
Yeah, try it.
I don't know. I guess it wouldn't hurt anything, will it?
Worst case scenario, you
well,
have to
duh,
reboot.
I can't type. I don't have a typer. I unplugged the keyboard. Why am I trying to type?
Yeah, if it worked, then you have a strange situation.
And definitely
And
need to take that keyboard back.
nope, I still don't have a camera. So I'm thinking it's a kernel issue.
Could be.
I really don't know why, unless it was a power thing on the hub, why the keyboard would cause the camera to stop working. I mean, that doesn't really make sense to me, but
So is your keyboard and camera both going through a hub?
according to LSUSB, almost every device on my thing is going through some kind of hub. Oh, plugging the keyboard back in, switch the KVM to the other machine. That was neat. Okay.
Let me shut my
But
audio off.
yeah, I don't know. The only thing I can think of is, I guess last week. I thought it was the week before that I got the kernel update, and I didn't have any problems. So I don't know. I guess I'm just going to have to start keeping better track of what gets updated and when. I know you keep track of all that stuff.
So LSUSB space dash T draws a tree and you
Mm-hmm.
can see what's plugged in where.
What's actually Port it's like HIDs and audio. That would be the headphones I'm wearing. Another HID. The wireless is on port 3. And there's it's a lot of HIDs. I think yeah, that makes sense. There's 3 USB hubs built into this thing. Actually, there's 4. There's the USB-C, and then there's
Well, no, a root hub generates the originating signal. If you
okay.
had an actual hub plugged in,
It'd be
that shows
different.
up as a not root hub.
Not root hub. That would be
You don't have any.
I don't. Weird. You know, my KVM didn't show up this time. My KVM showed up last time. There it is. Oh, there it is. I missed it. There's the KVM. Now a couple of that used to actually say USB hub. KVM USB hub. So something's changed somewhere. This is a hub. The Alcor microcore hub, but I don't know what that is. I don't know what's plugged in. Maybe it's separating the.
Does your keyboard have
Nope.
a USB port on it?
Nope.
Okay. I've seen that done. I've considered doing that. Put a cheap hub inside of a keyboard so I can plug the mouse into the keyboard.
The Alcor micro USB hub and the KVM are on the same root hub. So maybe the Alcor is actually part of the KVM because it's basically a USB port with a button on it to switch it. I don't know. I just know that stuff I rebooted and now my camera doesn't work. That's all I know. I mean, pretty much nothing else has changed. New keyboard. It's the only real thing that's changed.
I mean, it's got a processor in it. Maybe it's gotten stupid. Go for a full power down,
I
pull the
might have
battery.
to do that. Cause it could have went stupid. But who knows? Who knows? Who knows? So let's see, we are nearing the end again. Let me check here. We will have one more virtual meeting this month on the 30th. And then we will be in person on the 6th and the 13th. So hopefully everything gets worked out. And I have a camera again.
If not,
Well, I could
have a
always,
few spares of this guy.
yeah. I could, yeah, I could always, I probably could have. I probably could have grabbed the camera that I use out of the. I don't have another USB port I could plug into, but I probably could have done that. Use the camera that I use at the in-person meeting. But anyway, anybody got anything else? Because we're getting close. So if there isn't anything else, I might call it a little tiny bit early and go and eat food, because Patty is she's making lasagna today. So
Oh, nice.
Okay.
yeah, I think we lost Barry somewhere along the line. So
He's looking for lasagna.
he's looking for lasagna. Something.
He's driving to your house.
All right,
Yeah.
I'm going to call it, and I'll see everybody next week, and hopefully
Good
you'll
night.
see me.
Okay.
All right, bye.
Have a good week.
You too.